joining us live on set now. If you're watching the stream from Yorkton, Saskatchewan, all-time penalty minutes leader in the SJHL, Grant Ottenbriedt. Grant, thanks so much for making this time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
I shook your hand. The knuckles are still there. They're still there. That's pretty good.
Okay, I'm looking at the old elite prospects here, and I said this earlier. I said, when Grant comes by, I got to ask him what the heck was what was going on in the mid 80s, late 80s. Like, these are big numbers. 427 PIMs, 405, and then 505. Were you an angry man back then?
No, I was, refs, sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, just terrible reffing. I mean, I got caught for a lot of tripping,
hooking,
penalties. Hooking. Yeah.
Those are a lot of hooks.
You weren't allowed to do that as much back then, I guess.
So I've heard a story of a brawl in here between you guys and Weyburn back in that time period where Weyburn actually ran out of players.
During the brawl?
Yeah, during the whole game. Everybody was in the penalty box or out, and they ran out of bodies. Is that true?
Well, yeah, we had a few brawls back in the day. I remember, honestly, and I almost didn't finish that brawl, if it's the one I'm thinking of. We had a line brawl, and we got caught shorthanded out there, a 5-on-4, and I decided I was going to join the melee, and I was going to jump off the bench, and our coach at the time, Kevin Janelle, grabbed my jersey just as I threw my gloves off and was leaning over the boards, and he thought about it for a second and said, okay, go, and then he pushed me, and I fell on my head. And, I got up, and by the time I got over there, they almost had one fight broken up, but I jumped in there and got a couple cheap shots, and then stayed out there for a while.
So some truth to the rumor then. There's some truth to the rumor.
Oh, yeah. There's always a little bit of truth.
What were the toughest teams back then?
Oh, God. Well,
all of them?
Well, the year that, honestly, the first year I came into the league was 84-85, and Jerry James had owned the team and sold it to Max Chambers from up around Meadow Lake. So really, he traded all the top-end guys like Adrian Sekundiak. And
he traded them to Estevan, didn't he?
Traded them all to Estevan.
Yeah.
The league stepped in and said, hey, you can't do that. So he sold the 20-year-olds. Darren Hunter went to Battleford. A local defenseman who ended up being defenseman of the year, Brad Thompson, went to Humboldt Broncos. Really, that's the only reason I made junior. They were looking to have some big guys that would show up every night, whether they were good or not, I guess, at the time. It was just a different day, different hockey back then. And back then, the Swift Current Indians were in the league, coached by Patty Janelle.
Yeah,
they were a different crew.
Well, yeah, and the owner ran into problems here. And halfway through our first year, Patty Janelle said, if you hire my son, the story I remember, you can confirm with Commish over here later, but they said Patty told him, if you hire my son, I'll send a couple players along that'll help you guys get into the playoffs. And they kind of dragged their feet and waited till after the trade deadline, and then they did end up hiring his son. And Kevin was here for a year and a half. But it didn't help us that year with the Estevan Bruins being so strong, and Swift Current was like a gong show. A lot of WHL guys that shouldn't have been there, probably.
Yeah, Flin Flon was in.
Should have been in jail.
Yeah, no, Flin Flon came
in the dub.
No.
Flin Flon came into the SJ my second year, so that would have been 85.
They were in the MJ then, weren't they?
I'm not sure if they were in that Northern Manitoba League. Maybe I don't even think they were in the MJ. I think they might have been up north.
But you played up there.
We played up there my second and third year in the league.
And was it just as crazy? It was probably crazier back then.
Oh, well, honestly, when you talk about brawls, like those poor guys went on the road, and they would do like 10, 12-day road trips. So I'll never forget, they went into Weyburn, and I think the story was they had 9 guys left playing. Like, they had injuries and suspensions, and they had a line brawl or a bench clearing brawl in Weyburn, and they were outmanned like almost 2-1, and just got the hell beat out of them. So they brought up, the one guy, Ken Baumgartner, played in the NHL, had a brother that was pretty damn big that was a goaltender playing juvenile hockey, and he's like one of the guys they brought in and just said, nobody's pushing us around anymore. And they kind of didn't. They brought in a lot of meat there to finish the year and keep the guys safe, because it was a bit rougher back then, and they were running short-staffed most nights.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just thinking of your time in the SJHL. Obviously, you're the career penalty minute leader. Appreciate you for that. But then you move on from there. How did that transition work for you at that time?
Oh, it's pretty good. I was just looking to keep playing. I wasn't a school guy for sure. Me and a guy from here, Evan Westland, was our goalie. We went out to they were going to start a new semi-pro league on the West Coast, down into Bellingham, Washington, Vancouver Island. They had a camp. They had a draft. I was supposed to play in Cowichan, and then the guy that that started the league took the money and split town. So everybody was kind of, shopping around. Where's the guy going to go? Senior hockey. I didn't really want to go start playing senior hockey. I played a year before junior, and I was just still farming around looking for somewhere to play. And a kid that played here when we were 18 lived at my house, a Newfie there, Todd Savory, was playing out in Newfoundland and go to school. So I contacted him, and he set me up with his local team in Port aux Basques, even though he was living up in St. John's going to university. He was playing for a team called Mount Pearl Blades, coached by Terry Ryan, senior.
Okay. Yep.
So I went out to Newfoundland, played in Port aux Basques a few games, and they really liked me. But they had 9 imports, and they were allowed 8. So they said, "Well, we like you enough that we want to keep you until Christmas. We're going to rotate. One guy has to sit every game, and then we'll make a decision." I said, "I'm not playing until Christmas." I thought I was going to be there, but
yeah.
I said, "I'm not playing until Christmas," and then getting canned and have nowhere. So I ended up going to play with my friend in Mount Pearl. He got me a job there playing with Terry Ryan. From coming here and working game days for my dad hauling garbage to going there George Street making $500 a game. So yeah, they got me living with another player on the team, and within about 3 or 4 weeks they moved me in with the family because it was tough getting home some nights.
You need a little supervision.
Oh yeah, a lot of supervision.
Was the WHL jump for you ever possible? I'm sure there was teams that were inquiring, wanted you, looking at you.
Honestly, if you look at my stats, you'll see how my numbers went. I was never very good player until like later on when I started playing. Newfoundland is actually the first time I really got ice time, and they expected me to fight and be physical, but they also, because they were paying you as an import, they expected some offense, so they counted on me. So I actually improved my game out there. And then down in the East Coast, same kind of thing that happened here. Not many guys are big Norm Johnson fans, but I am. He came here as a 20-year-old, or when I was a 20-year-old, and I went from the 4th line to playing on our top line with Ed Zawatsky and Mark Marianchuk, our captain, just policing and looking after those 2 guys. So just following him around, watching Eddie's footwork on the circles and stuff, and how he handled the puck. And you can't help but get better when you're following guys around.
Toughest guy you fought in the SJ back then, or a guy you had to be on your toes when you knew you were playing him?
Well, there was honestly, I probably lost a lot more than I won, but a couple of fights that probably stick out were, I guess the one would be Bob Heaney. Down in Swift Current. Bob played for the Brandon Wheat Kings. We were at Brandon Wheat Kings camp a year or 2 later. So I ran into Bob again down there. But Bob Heaney was a tough kid, played for the Swift Current team there. But probably my most memorable fight, I don't know you guys remember a lot about the SJ back then, was a kid that played years as semi-pro. Kind of a legend, I think. They called him Bambi. Derek Crawford.
Oh, I know that name.
Yeah. Derek Crawford was probably 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", a young,
scary man.
Probably 16 years old when he came into the league. And of course, I was more of an entertainer than a hockey player. And I told him we got yapping at the red line, and I said, "Kid, you're going to get a licking." We got 10-minute misconducts. I said, "You're going to get a licking when we get out." And I was shadow boxing to the fans. We got out, and he hit me with one so hard, right square in the forehead. My eyesight went black, and I thought, "Oh my God, this is not a 16-year-old kid knocking out a 19-year-old kid." And I stood up and I held my own there, but that was probably one of the most embarrassing, or almost most embarrassing ever.
It's always those ones you don't expect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, back in the SJ days, and this one might be a little difficult. You go back. Who was a player that maybe along the line, because a lot of guys they don't want it. They just kind of want to go a different path, or they just don't get the breaks of some guys. But a player in the league back then that you were shocked never got the chance to go on skill-wise.
Well, there was Humboldt had some good players back in the day. They had a defenseman there, Brad Bergen, that really sticks out in my mind. That was pretty incredible back then. Most of the guys that were that good found a way somewhere. Guys like Billy McDougall that played in Humboldt for the Broncos, Eddie Zawatsky that I played on the line with here. Went on like a lot of those guys went out to college. There were some guys that surfaced in pro hockey that I never recognized as much, like Chris Robertson. I think that played up in North Battleford. And there's a few of those guys that surprised me that they did go so far. But there was one guy that probably should have gone farther, I thought, was a big guy from North Battleford, Grant Ottenbriedt.
Yep.
He was a monster. He's a goal scorer and gentle giant, but when he dropped the gloves, like
Did he go to North Dakota?
He did. He
That's
went
right.
to UND.
Yep.
With, I think, Stinsky, Koberinsky, like some of those Inskis that played out
That's
in
right.
Lloydminster and Battleford. There was a few.
When I was having a cup of coffee there, Paranika was there as a 17-year-old.
Yeah. He was a big boy, and I thought he would have gone a lot farther.
Yeah.
Okay. We're here tonight for Game 3, Yorkton and Flin Flon. The place is going to be packed. I can't wait for the atmosphere. But I say to this day, the best live hockey that I've watched with my eyeballs, NHL playoff games included, and just being invested, was Seattle Regina and that WHL final series. I forget how many years ago was that now? Almost 10 years ago.
2017.
Your boy was the captain of Seattle. You got to watch all those games. Wasn't that hockey fantastic?
That's honest to God, it's the best hockey I've ever seen. I agree with you. He wasn't the captain. We had a guy that might have been pretty well known, Barzal.
Matt Barzal. Yeah. Who would make this big the big scene and everything that's going on and how intense it was. He made it lolook like a rec hockey game and how he controlled the puck.
He was good.
Yeah, and you know what? And when he went up to the NHL at first, he didn't stick his first year, and I don't think anybody thought he could control play at that level that he could in junior, but they were quite wrong. I mean, you see what he does out there nowadays. He can slow the game down to whatever pace he wants. He's one of the best for sure. Playing where he does, maybe he doesn't shine as much as he could, but that team was. My son got traded there from Saskatoon Blades, where he was one of the last picks in the Bantam draft, and ended up in getting traded to Seattle for a 20-year-old defenseman because Saskatoon wanted to make a run at getting into the playoffs. Yeah. They hadn't been for a while, but they had their second and third liner centermen were their second line center was a 20-year-old kid, Scotty Enzer, that played in for the U.S. at the World Juniors, and their third line center was a 6'5" kid from Denmark that played in the NHL, Alexander True.
Wow!
So the depth there was fun, and I mean that's when Regina had their highest scoring season ever. I think best season.
Yeah.
So I think they got kind of shocked when Seattle walked in.
And then what was the goalie, man? They put in the young.
Yeah, you had like a 16-year-old playing goal, right?
Stankowski.
Stankowski.
And I think he might have been 5'8".
Yeah, he's just a little critter.
I remember watching that first game in Regina and going, come on, this guy, just bigger street hockey goalies out there.
Yeah, they made a goaltender trade there. They got Toth, a kid out of Saskatoon. And he came in and he actually got injured just not long before the playoffs, and the kid played a handful of games at most there before the playoffs, and we ran with a 16-year-old right to the Memorial Cup. Like it was kind of incredible.
Ethan Bear had a broken hand or something.
Yeah, he broke his hand against Kelowna. His hand was a mess. Broke his hand. I think couple of guys had mononucleosis there, and that team was pretty beat up. So
Kolazar on that team.
Kolsar, Keegan Kolsar, he was a big machine. He was physical and hard on pucks. That was that top line was. Kolsar and
Barzal.
Ryan Gropp, who was an NHL draft pick.
And it wouldn't have mattered who came out of that series, Regina or Seattle, because both teams were beat up.
Yeah.
Both teams were just completely beat up.
Turner, I think, didn't he hit Brooks early?
Yes.
Well, allegedly. Yeah. I mean, you can probably look the hit up on some form of social media now, but he did. He caught Adam Brooks in the first period, and there was a lot of chatter on social media and stuff about that, but no, and there was a clean hit, a shoulder in the chest, and spun him around, and I think it was his visor that probably hurt him. No penalty on the play, but he threw the same hit on a kid, Austin Wagner, in Game 6, the game they won.
Yeah.
And I think both refs, both linesmen, the people in the penalty box, the women selling popcorn and beer, everybody in the rink had their hand up for that one.
But I was there. I did too.
Oh, yeah. But, and they were lucky enough to win that Game 6 and get out of there. But like you say, it's WHL back then, I think it's changed, but they were playing a 72-game schedule and talking to people out east there at the Memorial Cup. Like they maybe spent 4 or 5 nights away from home, and I think those guys spent 30 and long trips. So a lot more wear and tear on the WHL teams.
Yeah.
Turner this year was in Calgary AHL.
Yep, he played in the Calgary Wranglers this year. Yeah, last year was in Milwaukee. He's been around the AHL for about 7 years now, give or take. So still loving the game and playing it, and I think he still wants to keep playing. So Where that takes him, I don't know.
Was he always just a hard nose, hard hitting kind of player? Did he just kind of get that naturally?
Well, no, it's kind of bred into him by his dad. Like back then,
what's hard though? I know dads that try to do that to kids. It just doesn't work. For me, it was my wife trying to say, no, we don't want to be so aggressive, and people are like, let him be aggressive.
Yeah, no, he's always been kind of like that. Like my best friend growing up, this Kelly Lindsay played junior with me and took the kids to soccer at 4 years old, and every kid chased the soccer ball except him. And we kind of kept an eye on it, and then they got the ball and started running up the field, and he ran over there and slide kicked the ball away and jumped back up, to defend.
Just loved it.
Yeah, he was going to be a defenseman from the time he was like 2 years old, I think. So
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Still playing the game he loves, so that's great.
You know what? Play till they tell you can't, because you can't go back and start over at any point.
Yeah,
so,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
What should we expect? We haven't been to a game here. What should we expect in this barn tonight?
Oh, it's going to be loud for sure. I mean, our life is on the line here. Obviously, I don't think we maybe had the outcomes we wanted in Flin Flon, but I mean that rink since '85 when I first went up there, I don't think it's ever been an easy place to play. So, but the thing about the Terriers is they're high flying and they can score and they can skate with anybody for sure. So I think Flin Flon's going to be need to hang on to us, I think, tonight. I think we'll take the game to them, and if we can get a couple breaks and some goals, get one win tonight, and then it's a brand new series,
Exactly. You must like the way young Cash Lanigan plays.
Love that. I can't say the word I was going to say, but yeah, like he's old school. That kid can score goals, but he's probably tougher than he is skilled. Like he's just so good at both ends of the rink. He can set up plays, but he back checks. He's physical, and he's a complete player for sure.
That's the whole family.
Is that right?
That's the whole family. You just described the whole family.
My daughter plays with his sister. His sister's an absolute weapon on the back end. Plays hard. Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate
Grant.
it.
We can't wait to get in there tonight. I'm sure we'll see you around.
It'll be a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Right on.
Thank you.
All time